Are we? Is it uh everything is working? Yeah, I have a tiny confession to make. You know, nothing better to start than with a tiny confession. I I found that I can force my voice to sound normal to some degree. I have to go a little bit higher on pitch, but I can avoid uh, all that noisiness in my voice. Uh, I don't really want to do that. I I would rather not do that. I I think it probably hurts it even more, if anything. So yeah, that's something interesting to say the least. And yeah, it's it's kind of crazy. Here, here we are. That's the reality. The question is why there are there are many things, but I think I want to start just with. Also, I should have probably said that I was. Doesn't matter. Or you know, later on, right now, I am like, oh yeah, yeah, I am already here. I shouldn't worry about anything else. Later on, I will probably regret that. So yeah, let me let me try to let. Uh, you have your personal spaces, like I do have my Discord and such. So it should be probably very very bad if I chose to ignore it. Later on, I will be complaining that oh wow, it doesn't serve any function. And indeed, it isn't that it doesn't. It is that just I am not using it. That's the real issue. I might be the issue, even nothing else. So yeah. Anyways, there we are. That's a wonderful notification. The world has been renamed, I guess. Anyways, here we are. The question is why? I guess it's a sort of valid question. It's kind of interesting that we always need a reason for everything, but I cannot really provide an answer. I cannot. I have been thinking a lot lately. I I have tried to continue with this. I am we're already like a whole week into this almost. It feels certainly one of the longest weeks that I had in quite a long time. Even it's not about being busy, it's just about doing stuff, you know, being conscious that you have things to, and acting on them makes you realize, yeah, maybe, maybe I am not as, as capable of doing so many stuff. Not because I just can't do it, but rather because I cannot find a way to do it. And I don't know. I I think it is annoying on one hand. It's here and being honest, I since I tried to come back, one of the few things I have tried to is to a little bit more of honesty. It's it's something that I always find useful. At the least, personally speaking, the reality of to some degree, that you're lying to yourself. Why not try to, if nothing else, communicate with yourself with more honesty? Why not try to show yourself that you can say something that you believe is true. Even if it isn't a universal truth, or even if it isn't something that you can say every single person will agree on. That's not the point. I think I am I am not talking about anything because of that. I I don't think this is the proper place just to try and cultivate any sort of objectivity. I feel like it is quite meaningless to do that. But the reality is, uh, it's nice to try and be honest. It's not inherently good. The In many ways, it's also complicated. You need to learn how to say things without feeling like you're saying something just damaging. There is a degree of unfilteredness that becomes just insults. The human has a good grasp of language when the limitations exist. When you forget that you might as well need to say things in a orderly manner, you end up losing, so to speak, everything that bounds you into a proper realm of meaning. Being honest doesn't mean just saying things with an angry tone and just insulting or just letting, I guess, every single emotion take control of you. And on the other hand, it's about being honest, not being completely neurotic, so to speak. It's just about trying, if nothing else, once again, trying to have a connection with your own beliefs, or if at all it is that you realize that you might not even be capable of possessing some true beliefs, because you cannot stand by what you say. You cannot really argue that the things that you, in the end, this wonderful situation or view of, if everything ends tomorrow, I will be happy with what I said. I will be fulfilled. There will be no regret. I obviously cannot do anything else. So, at least with what I already did, do I find myself satisfied? I think to some degree. I don't like many things, and that's one of the main reasons as to why we keep being here. I probably, being honest, if I wasn't somebody so moved by stuff, we wouldn't be here. It would have been a silent life. What would have driven all of this existence into nothing, I guess. But the reality also ends up being, at least for me, that I cannot completely agree with certainly many of the things that I say from time to time, and I like to review. Re- I think revise isn't English, so reanalyze or analyze to begin with, observe what has already been said and such. And one of the wonderful things is it's so complicated to talk about anger. It's such a difficult topic. We we find ourselves very lost. I think, personally speaking, I feel like we don't really know that much about emotions. It has been a certainly, if I haven't spent my whole life doing that, or if I had spent my whole life, it will be a different conclusion maybe. But right now, I don't think all the things that I have seen could allow me to say that, yeah, we have had enough investigations, enough exploration about what is this whole field of sensations that we have settled already in the final answer, so to speak, of the world. We do not need to worry anymore about thinking, if you want to say it differently. We we are not there, and every single emotion could have its place here. I think you could make the argument. All, all of the sensations that a human has might be more explorable than what we conceive right now. But particularly something that I do not seem to agree so much with is how we lack proper use for negative emotions. I think we're slowly starting to lose the grip on what is negativity. At some point, what is negative has become just it's hard. If you have to think about it, it's hard to talk about what is negative and similar connotations without just using the same handful of words. I mean, I can say we have lost the capacity to see things that are negative as just anything else besides bad. There are other frames to use here. It's along the lines of we are trying to speak about negativity, but it's one sided how we seem to utilize it. It's just the same emphasis as always that what is negative can only bring destruction. What is negative can only bring so much damage to reality itself. It's the best thing to properly avoid as much as we can any sort of negativity. And I think we are if if we don't have to be so pessimistic, at least we are losing a proper grasp on how necessary it is to have this degree of doom over life. You cannot. I don't. I don't see it as a reasonable expectation to say, yeah, you're alive and you have the things that you wanna do. You have the handful of goals that you wanna fulfill, and all of that and nothing else. And you are all set up, and you are all yeah, everything else is in place so that you can enjoy a nice life without any worries. I think beyond the point of just entering in a closed loop of satisfaction, the dissatisfaction over the world is necessary. It's it's so bad to see how demonized all of this has become. You cannot argue. I do not think that you need to dwell completely on the negativity. I don't think that you need to dwell completely on everything that is bad. But you cannot argue for the sake of understanding stuff with anything that is negative. It's just. I remember one expression. It has been one of the most useful things on one hand to me to hear somebody say, or I remember hearing somebody that I used to watch a lot years ago, this concept of if the person that you are talking with says this thing is shit, the moment in which they use the word shit, they are basically giving up on the discussion. You might as well decide to abandon in any reason when dealing with them in terms of trying to spend any more time. It's meaningless to do something of that sort. It's such a pointless activity to try and argue with somebody who has already settled down on how they see stuff to the point to which they insult the thing that they are trying to make a point of. And when they have become so reductionist, there are true things that might be shit. And if you lose the sense of value that the word, this thing is complete garbage, this thing is complete and utter crap. You cannot keep using that word. You are abandoning one of the few things that everybody could comprehend to some degree. You're doing a bad job at speaking, and to try and continue a conversation with you is just sort of useless. You're demonstrating that you're failing at sustaining a good enough talk. You cannot create anything good when you just forego of what is your language to that level. And on the same degree of awareness, I think, or not on the same level of awareness, it's just on the same level of necessity we exist when we talk about negative things. If a person is just being negative, anything that they say is pointless. It has become such an easy tool to utilize to say that negativity is just the demon that we have to deal with in nowadays society. It's such a wonderful way of seeing reality that anything that is bad makes it makes reality itself just worse because it is contaminating what you experience. It's in this endless cycle of contrasting one thing with another one. You can only have what is good and what is bad, nothing else. You we are still so far behind what is true understanding out this world. We are still struggling so much to explain. You need to hear. Everything needs to be heard. You need to be capable of hearing. If the things that somebody says are so negative to the point to which you yourself find attractive the ideas that these negative entities constructing this machine of concepts, this monster of altered and repurposed previously good ideas that now have been transformed into this just hungry and bitter enemy of the world. If any of those things seem to sway you, you're just weak. That's funny. We can say weak and we are even. I guess nowadays we are in a point in which we talk about weakness, not so much with proper understanding about what is being said. In some cases, being weak is good. In some cases, being weak is bad. In some cases, being weak is being nothing in terms of it doesn't truly matter. It's just a mode of being that we have seem to have integrated into the descriptions of the world that we like to throw around so much. We cannot explain it with words. It's not the basic. Yeah, what is weak is what other things can beat, and what is the weakest thing is what anything else can beat. But at the same time, it's not the end of the argument there. You want things to be weak. We need things to be weak. We need arguments to be bad. We need the stuff to be in a bad state. We are always in the need of an enemy. We cannot fight the whole concept of badness out of this realm of existence. I don't think, if you want to say it in a different way, that same idea, we have probably, by introducing it into the language, we have ensured that we will never be capable of departing with what is bad. Everything will be bad at some point, based on the civilization that is analyzing the concepts themselves. Everything is to some degree bad because you are being forced to deal with something that, based on your particular history, is damaging you. And any kind of culture can have something that they see as bad. You cannot be a culture if there is no this idea of a history. You cannot have a history if you don't have something that ties everything together. And to some degree, it has been suffering that has become that. It has been the different ways of portraying what is bad that makes you believe that you belong to something. It's this satisfaction of believing that just because things, the way that you see it, maybe even if they are not the correct things, or if it isn't the correct way of seeing things, just the act of seeing those things themselves, and the act of just trying to keep on dealing and solving what is bad is what makes you fulfilled. There is only bad stuff to have in the world. On one hand, that's the funny thing. That's what I am trying to aim at. We cannot have intentional negativity. We cannot create negativity in this world. It's something that we have such a need for, but at the same time we cannot enforce. We cannot. I am pretty sure I have at this point heard someone say something like that. You cannot become the sacrificial goat for evolution, so to speak. You cannot solve the issue by becoming you yourself, the issue itself. You cannot. The world cannot get a fix from what keeps it from an even better state when you are actively trying to showcase that thing which is bad. It is in the realization that something is bad that also you sort of need it, I will say. I remember hearing out this concept of how what damages you to a certain point you can keep allowing, and it's so weird to see that in the end many people are capable of having so many bad things around them, supposedly without even flinching an eye. You supposedly care about your stuff. You seem to be interested in being part of this world and having something that I don't know if it is that you pertain to, that you are identifying yourself on. It's just you can have a bad stuff happen around you, and it's the best drug that you can ever take to say, yeah, every sort of negative thing is is so hard to deal with. I cannot be somebody, so to speak, happy because this world is just bad. It's so bad, and slowly people can find more and more ways to justify all their lackings by just allowing this expression of, yeah, there are bad things out there. The world is an unwelcoming place. I cannot do what I said I wanted to do in the first place because I am being impeded by what I wish to do due to the consequences that it has when I try to make it happen into the world. I can transform everything into negative. I can make sure that everything else is bad. And we do not move from anywhere. I I think we are moving. Certainly in some the respects we are advancing. But I don't think in terms of ideas we are that much far away from anything else. We are still corroded by this concept of happiness. I already said the last time, we don't need happiness exactly and nothing else in life. It's bad. A life where you only pursue happiness is a life in which you don't really live. There are ways to ensure that everything that you experience is happiness, but at the same time, those very same mechanisms only serve to ensure one of the fastest deaths available in any way. It is the abuse of what is bad, and it is the usage of drugs and different sorts of very, very much damaging things that allows you to be eternally happy, so to speak. And we are only there. There's so much time. We're only there. We don't have much more. We don't have. What are we selling to kids? It is the illusion of a better world, the illusion of a better reality, the illusion of things that might, in some point, feel not as bad as we are having them ourselves. It's not avoidance of pain, not trying to say that pain is the goal of this world. I don't know. I'm not exactly a Buddhist, but this whole idea of, yeah, the world is suffering, and so you have to cope with it. No, no, no. I mean, in a more basic level, what are we standing on? Happiness? A need for a fulfillment that doesn't lead to anywhere? We are incapable of properly setting up a goal in the distance. But eternal happiness doesn't mean anything. And what I was trying to say earlier. What is bad is bad. We're allowing less and less negative things. We're only, if anything, introducing conflict into the current societies due to how we can see that things work. Because you can realize that indeed there are some walls that you might want to escape from. There are some structures of. I don't think there is truly a better wording. Even if it is bad, sodomity, it is a sodomized society, man. What are we expecting? Where are we standing if all that we are hoping for is just either what is good or what is not bad? It's not alive. We don't really have a life. Most people don't get to enjoy anything that might be considered a life, not a nice life. A life, a reasonable life, something that makes sense on itself. It's that's the problem. Eh? Also, thank you, Grespen. Have a good night, I guess. Have a very good night. Thank you for your opinion. But yeah, I feel saying it. I don't want to say it. It's I don't know how much of that fear is truly mine or just the eternal tradition of, yeah, we need more poison, man. We need we need more destruction. We need more darkness. We are always fighting against everything that seems to be negative. We are always so opposed to the sickness. We're not moving forward. When I think I understand a little bit more. Today I heard somebody talk about what is the role of something like this social science called psychology. Let's try to talk about mental health. You are never seeing somebody healthy. The person who's completely fine is not the person you are treating. It's mental sickness. It's always the mental disease that we are talking about. In the end, we need more corrosion. We need more. We're only aiming for comfort. And slowly, it's no wonder that things are going worse. It's no wonder that we're having less everything, I will say. Besides some stupid things like, oh yeah, we have more technology. Do we? Do we truly have more technology? Do we truly have a more interesting stuff of that sort? I don't know, man. I see around myself. I don't see the world submerged in the digitalized era. I wish to see somewhere. I keep trying to see somewhere and to find that, oh yeah, a particular culture has truly lost themselves in how much digitalization has happened over the years. We don't have even that. We just have unnecessary commodities. It's just all boiled down to making things as good as they can be. All, 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 all our commodities, all our satisfactions and things that try to please you. It's we cannot have any kind of interpolation exist by what is bad. We cannot have any kind of hurting be part of life. We cannot have hardships. It's it has to become always, I guess, an evolution towards solving as many problems for those who know nothing. And I don't want to say that we are having less happiness now compared to ever before, but I can see it, man. I think, generally speaking, we have so much more worries, but not about what is truly necessary, so to speak. It's it takes so much time to talk about this. I can only say it in this way. We have accepted that we need good things. We cannot really define what is good ourselves. We need to rely on what other people could have tried to define as good, and we can then assume that they are correct about it if it seems reasonable enough. So we can only strive to have that thing that somebody else named for us useful. We can only depend on what another judgment creates in this place. We can only try to have things be given to us. We cannot be creators of the world. We cannot. The modern man or the modern human being. That's the funny thing. Anyone is so incapable of operating. We have so many difficulties that we will rather avoid ever mentioning, even. We are flawed so much in terms of how capable we are at living life. Not not being virtual, not being what is anything else, not having some degree of satisfaction from what we can ensure that will keep us alive, but rather from doing things that we know will help us, from not doing what's called truly be for ourselves beneficial. You cannot be not just a creator of the world, you cannot be an active participant in your own life. Everything else is an active participant on the life of the person. Everything else is seen as what affects the human, but not the human itself. It's not about being, it's about having everything else. It's and I don't know, I would even go as far as to say it's not about doing, it's just about being done, even, you can only be entertained. You are being fulfilled by this sensation of entertainment or pleasure or satisfaction, or if not, you are required to be supposedly striving to get something like that. Commodities, sensible things, but everything is just not oneself. Everything is just out there trying to take a hold of this allegory of the light. Everything seems to be more important. Everything could be so much more precious than what we have right now. The future is not going to be better because life will be so much more full of everything. We cannot have all the sensations of the spectrum. Future is only going to be good. The future is only going to be devoid of bad things. We're not moving towards anywhere. We're not getting to a satisfying place, I guess. We're just losing what made the human be capable of thinking. I don't know, I think it's just sedation of the highest degree, and not much more. It's just anybody could see it if they wanted, but you would be assuming that what is good is bad, and that is now itself a bad idea. Once again, you cannot have bad things. You cannot judge. It's everything has a limit. Everything has to some degree a limit. So you cannot say even that which I assumed was nice couldn't be seen as bad. You cannot doubt everything. You look at philosophy takes so much pride on somebody like Descartes. All, all the things that he talked about and whatnot. Yeah, we are not willing to truly doubt what is nice. We're not willing to think that we might slowly be dying. We're slowly giving up everything that we have just because we need a satisfaction in some form. We're not gaining. We're only getting more and more dissected and destroyed. It's no wonder that there are so many issues. If slowly things are becoming more and more about the pleasure of being and the avoidance of feeling bad. Man, life is such a shit. And you cannot say that. You cannot want to have a shitty life. You cannot have the right to have bad things. It's being sheltered from the true world. That's where we are standing right now. And I don't know. I think if anything, the future generations are going to have it incredibly hard. If anything, somebody will have to deal with the issue of, yeah, where we are moving is not truly that good. We, if everything is good, so to speak, there is, or not exactly that allegory. First and foremost, theater. What is it? Metaphor? No. Yeah. If everything, no, if everyone but you is wrong, if every single person that you meet is wrong, except you, maybe it's time to look inside. If everything that you want is good, is the nice things and the satisfaction, maybe it's time to try and understand what is bad. It cannot be that we're avoiding all the bad things all the time. It's it's the best way to measure the direction that we are taking, the things that we are doing. It's part of the judgment to be capable of seeing, of transforming the symbols that you find in your daily life into something else, into something that might be bad. That capacity of thinking is being now incarcerated into the excuse of it's dangerous for you to try and see what is the nature of things. It's bad for you to try and assume that there might be something wrong with what has been for so long the usual. It's it's subordination and nothing else. It's just loss of all the rights that we used to have. I guess we could have been so much more. It's a battle that has already been lost almost. What are we going to? What's the point of the human? To try and solve the eternal issues, to try and through negativeness find a way out, to use what we have been trained for so long to consider as the most distractful thing into a different form that might in any way benefit us. It's stupid, but I don't know. I don't think the word itself makes all that much sense. We are in an era in which we have so many useless discussions. Can't we try at least for 1 second to see around and contemplate? Maybe, maybe it's time to do what is also bad. Not to be a completely damaging actor. To be what society will try to destroy, but rather to try and see the bad things in what society has somehow called good, man. It's just, I don't know. I keep thinking about it and thinking about it and going on and on and on and circles about some ideas of this sort of. We have lost the war in being hyper vigilant. We are being paranoid now and nothing else. You cannot try to perceive the movements that your enemy might make, so to speak. It's better for you to stay alert. I I keep thinking about it in the context of some time ago has finally it has finally been demonstrated. Yes, indeed. Some countries have already developed cameras that look like birds, that look like day-to-day pigeons, for example. And one of the best memes, one of the best comedy beats was we have to say sorry to the schizophrenic people. It's not funny. It's it's not truly all that funny, man. Or do you realize that people were right some time ago? Do you realize that having settled down with just the view, the thing that everybody says has damaged so much the sense of reality that we have that we can only joke about saying sorry? How many people have been condemned for things that might be revealed to be wrong? You cannot go against anything. You cannot be any sort of destructive force. Destruction itself is so much a fear that we have. We are sitting, or maybe not sitting, we are just building upwards in a tower of crystal that gets thinner and thinner the more we elevate ourselves. At some point, something will finally come in, and what we used to call humanity will get destroyed if all that we have is nice. We cannot have dangerous stuff. It's so weird. But I don't know, man. Takes takes so much time. It might not be a worth it sacrifice, you know. It might be just one of those particular struggles that you can classify just as too excruciating for anyone. This might not be a battle that we can win. This might not be the way, I guess. Not because there is no good thing to say. There are too many people who have already been submitted into this way. We only have so much capacity of dealing with what might be called bad. It's it's this idea. Revisiting what I heard a long time ago, and also just today again. We're dealing with people who have been blinded by faith on what they believe. You can say it in a different way, but just the faith in what exists suffices for an explanation now. I think I think we're not really headed towards somewhere great. The world isn't looking better. In that sense, the world is not looking that much better. We still have issues that could have been solved long time ago existing. What we are focusing lately is not necessary issues. We only have this handful of things that we like to call bad. Everything else that is also dancing where we do not have the capacity to find, to call negative. So much energy, so many souls are being squeezed out of their vital choices, if you wanna say it like that, for things that, in the end, not everybody truly needs to see soul. Not everybody is as inclined to have a particular resolutions for. And I don't know. I keep hearing about it. I'm hearing about it. Having to see people mention all of that time and time again. Supposedly, we're in a bad time. We like to have so much fear as a sort of tranquilizer and nothing else. Supposedly, we live in an era in which solitude is the main solution for everyone, in which there is more than ever before less connection between human beings. And that's it. That's what it ends. We are not in a time in which anyone could learn about what they want. We're not in a time in which most actions could lead to real impacts on the world. No, no, no. What we have is this already defined set of things that seem to be bad and nothing else. We cannot define the world ourselves. We cannot have things that we see as useful. We cannot have things that we call, through our own judgment, interesting. We can only base ourselves on what this tribe that seems to be the whole world has. And that means nothing. Yet somehow we follow it so much around. It's just stressing. But I don't know. I think the whole world is like that. Everything that we have around, to some degree, is good, is bad, makes sense, doesn't. But we might have certainly have enough of what is good, and we cannot properly understand how to insert hardship into our lives again. But even so, we're still in time. There are still, this battle is too complicated to fight in by any one human. But we're still in time. There are things to be done. The world hasn't ended yet. Society isn't already doomed. The current model might as well be certainly condemned to change, but transformation doesn't need to be bad. It's just a different new thing. Something else. It's just other society, the one in the future. If you wanna see it that way, it's just not what we have right now, and that's it. But this love for stupidity in so many ways. Oh yeah, the world is so bad. It's time to remove ourselves from here. No, no. That's not the point. That's not the point. That's not what I'm talking about. You cannot have. That's what I like. You cannot be so direct sometimes with things. It's. And even if you want to, there is not a proper expression for some ideas. They just are the way they are, and that's how things turn out to be. You can either accept them or not, and that's it. But man, the world is such a weird place. It has always been to some degree. It always will be. That's so funny. No, it's just we like to hate too much. We love. We have found a way to allow ourselves to hate. Not it only exists through the destruction of what is bad. We're not realizing the true usefulness, nor the need that we have for bad things. It's just a question. Okay, we deal with everything that is bad. And after that point, what do we do? Where do we go? What's next? What remains of the world after there is nothing bad? What's the point if there is no contradiction to what we are having? If everything is good, how can nothing have the quality of that same always existent badness? But yeah, the point was still going back. The point is, we allow the rage only through that and nothing else. It's so wonderful to see that we have found the only funnel which we have enabled the only funnel which is life threatening, so to speak. What will we do? Will we have a will the human come to the enlightenment? Will we be capable of reaching a conclusion in which out of nowhere every single human being realizes, oh wow, yeah, we have everything that we need. It's time to just evolve. Truly, we're not going to be thrown into chaos, into an even worse time of uncertainty. That it's an unavoidable desire for the human being to want to destroy things. What will we have then? Isn't it more expectable to see that we will end up in flames created by your own thoughts, searching everything that could have been useful as bad, just because we needed to justify the rage that we are not allowed to have? I don't think it is a warning. I don't have anything like that to say. I am not one of those people who can give a warning to the whole world, but from here it just doesn't look like wherever we are going is somewhere that will be in its own way something truly good, so to speak. There is an internal chaos. Let's say it like this. There is an internal chaos that we cannot recognize because it will mean that too many already established things that we said were good need to be taken down. And it will take so long to find a replacement for all of those systems that just trying to deal with all of those consequences. It's too much of a hassle. It's the amount of addiction to these drugs, these distractions that the human has, that it's actually keeping them from moving forward. We are not moving forward. Everything else is moving, but not the human. We have reached a point in time in which all fields are evolving, except the human department. Not humanities, not philosophy, not no social science and the rest that. Just the human. Soon enough, things will be back to the state of difficultiness, let's say. But it's fine. We probably have already survived some of that. Even if not we ourselves, someone has survived something like that. So we're aware. We're not there yet. So whoever tries to remain her will in the future be fine, I guess. But yeah, that's I guess most of what I wanted to say. It's just that it's so wonderful to see how reluctant we are to negativity. It has no place in this world. It's such a wonderful excuse. You cannot be so judgmental of anything. It's only matter to such things. We are losing the war in terms of what is the human capacity. We are not in a place in which things are looking better. Let's say we only have around us satisfaction after satisfaction and nothing else. And only more are to come, so human is not going to have a good time. It's just that observation, I guess. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. That's the funny thing. I want to say what I already expressed before of yeah. Maybe there is time, I don't think so. I think we skewed the possibility of having a vision about the world that might be different. We can only think about good, bad, reasonable, unreasonable, logical, irrational. We can only see it in those ways. We will have the satisfaction that we want. We will have a good life. We will certainly have a good life. But It might not be what we expected. That goodness is not that fulfilling at the end. But that is something that the future generations will realize. So, well, we are absolved of sin. We we don't have to deal with the weight of the revelation of yeah, things are not so nice. The world is not going to be so enjoyable at that point. So here we are, safe enough, I guess. With this, but yeah, I just think somehow that's what I was thinking before. There is this wonderful idea of there was an original virus. The original virus was language. The human itself didn't learn language. It was something that they acquired through something else. It was a sort of infection that happened to a human being. Language and the symbolic world and whatnot. And inside of that, once we learned about life, we can only create the counterbalance that is dead. And once we gained the certainty that nothing else was going to be eternal like that, we need to find a way to justify having the most lame possible experience. Just to say that we reached a good death. It's not truly living a life, it's just earning that in a not so shameful way. But we cannot accept that. The human is not so good at being negative. Negativity is not a good trait to begin with. It never has been a useful thing to have. Silent voice of opposition. So it's better to see it as just another invention, another fiction of the world, or something like that. Instead of just accepting that, yeah, maybe we are not so guaranteed anything. I mean, we still don't know what happens after we die. It's like so much of an emphasis on that for nothing. You can only assume. Everybody can only assume what happens. You can only argue that your assumption seems to be more reasonable than other assumptions, and that's it. No other thing really happens. No other changes. there to be applied or to be argued for. It's just an illusion. I wish to be right. I wish to have this win, something like that. But who knows? Truly, who knows? So yeah, that has been my negative stream of the day. Thank you. I guess I don't have anything else to say. I it takes quite a lot of energy to be that negative. So yeah, I am fulfilled in that sense. I can say it certainly is fucking Tars also. Anyways, why try to care so much about it? You know. So yeah, thanks for all. Next time, probably not probably positivity, that world of light and whatnot. That's that's how it's a drag, anyways. So yeah.